Namibia, in fact, holds the spot as the fifth biggest uranium producer globally. That's with total production in 2011 coming in at about 6% of the world's total production. The country also saw a slight recovery in the mining sector back in, well, not back in 2012, just a month ago or so. But let's unpack the prospects for uranium miners right now in the country. Joining us from Windhoek at our NBC studios is Grant Murray, Director of Communications at Swakop Uranium. Grant, thanks so much for joining us. So let's talk more specifically about the uranium price right now, because just looking at the average in 2011, just over $48, almost $49, and slipped back 14% to average around just over $40 per pound last year. So, of course, it wasn't a good year if you look at where prices were. But what are your thoughts right now on the uranium sector and prospects for that price recovery in 2012, given we're obviously in a post-Fukushima era?
Well, thank you for that, and good afternoon. I think if I had to put this in a nutshell, I would say that the uranium industry in Namibia right now is on hold, and in survival mode as a result of the lower prices. You may or may not know that there are only 2 uranium-producing mines in Namibia at the moment. That is Rossing Uranium, which is a subsidiary of Rio Tinto, as well as Lange Heinrich, which is a subsidiary of the Paladin Group. And you can see the results of the reduced price, and in this post-Fukushima era has had a significant impact on their profits. These companies employ in the region of 2,000 people in the country, and are getting to around about 3,800 tons of uranium oxide a year. At this last year. That's off 5,200 the previous year. Now that talks to some production issues at Rossing Uranium, and please, I'm not a spokesperson for Rossing, not by a long shot. I do think that Rossing are in a pushback phase and will come into ore shortly. Lange Heinrich have shown reasonable production over the last year, and obviously we will have Swakop Uranium coming on board in a few years' time, which I'm sure we'll go into later.
Yeah. Well, let's go into Swakop Uranium.
Obviously, the uranium prices. Yep.
So I just thought, while you're touching on Swakop Uranium,
we can do that.
Let's talk about that, because ultimately, I mean, Grant, it's the most significant uranium discovery in Namibia, and of course, if you're in a wait and hold mode right now when it comes to the overall sector, what does this mean for this mine, and what does it mean for Swakop?
Okay, just so that we can inform the viewers as to where we are, the Swakop uranium mine is about 70 kilometers from the coastal town of Swakopmund, obviously on the west coast of Namibia. The mine was discovered in 2008 with a significant ore body, and there are only the other 2 mines in the country at this stage. We are set to produce around about 15 million pounds when we reach full production, which, as you can see, is, well, that's about 7,000 tons, which would be doubling up the Namibian production. What does that represent? It represents about 10% of the world's production at that stage. So then we will be then a serious producer within this economy. I can give you the details of the mine if you would be interested. Certainly, we're looking at reserves of about 320 million pounds of uranium or uranium oxide. We're talking a life of mine of about 20 plus years. The grades are sitting over 500 at this stage. Life of mine grades around 518 ppm. We've done 800,000 meters of drilling to get us to this phase, and I think your concern always is, when you're we are completely counter-cyclical. We will come into production when we believe the price will be actually significantly higher than it is right now. So all goes well for Swakop Uranium, I do believe.
And of course, there have been, a lot of
I think if you'd like to also know, we would be. Yes, there has. During the course of last year, the changes that were made to shareholding were a takeout by a company called China Gondwang Nuclear Power Corporation, as well as the China Africa Development Fund, which jointly own a company called Taurus. Taurus owns 90% of the mine, so essentially we are a Chinese-owned mine, and the other 10% is the Epangelo Mining Company, which is a Namibian-owned mining company, which represents the Namibian government. So we do have a split between those two entities.
Yeah. In terms of take-off of your uranium, and as you say, you're hoping when it actually starts producing uranium, that the uranium sector globally will be in a lot better position and a higher uranium prices. So what type of agreements do you have right now? Where are you looking to sell this uranium to? Which key markets are you targeting?
All right, at this stage, obviously because we are post-production, we are still negotiating our offtake agreements. The offtake agreements will principally be with our shareholder along with other utilities. That's still to be decided. The reason why we haven't had to do it early up front, like we would do in most project finance, is that the Chinese government and our shareholder have guaranteed funding, which of course then means we didn't have to sign these off immediately.
And this, of course, this project, if it comes on board and online as you envision, creating just around 7,000 tons of uranium, basically doubling the country's uranium output. This has huge implications for the uranium sector in Namibia and, of course, the overall economy. So what are your thoughts onto the contribution that Swartcorp will make to that?
Well, the overall sector, there's always concerns in terms of infrastructure, that this infrastructure can handle it. On the negative side, of course, you've got to be aware of the water, you've got to be aware of the power, you've got to be aware of the environment. Those are the issues that we need to worry about that we could have a negative effect on. But certainly, from a contribution to the economy, when we're talking turnover in the region of $1 billion US, when we get to full production, at 15 million pounds per annum, we're talking on our feasibility rates of 7.5 to the dollar, we're talking 7.5 billion that would be increased to the exports of the country. That's a 20% increase in current exports. I think that's quite significant. A 5% growth to our GDP. We would hopefully by the year 2016-17, all things being equal, be contributing to 1.2 to 1.7 billion Namibia dollars to government revenue as well. The creation of 1,200 permanent jobs, another 4,000 to 6,000 temporary jobs during construction, as well as there is the multiplier effect that mining does have on an economy, and that we are estimating conservatively at around a further 12,000 jobs that would be generated.